Hello, welcome back to the studio, where today we're going to be developing the latest painting in my book series. 20 books, Seeker's 20 paintings, all based on different crime novels. And before I started this series, I made a decision to have them all the same size and in this format as well, which is two canvases joined together to resemble an open book. So a kind of reference in the physicality of reading a book, the act of reading. And all the paintings have some battening on the back, which means that when they're on the wall, they're kind of lifted away from the wall, again to reinforce this physicality, painting or object, just to raise the question. Is that straight, fine? Yeah. And another challenge which I like about having these two canvases joined together is what to do with this central divide. And it's a very powerful, before you even start, it's a very powerful element in the painting. And it's very powerful vertical, so I've enjoyed the problem of what to do with it. In some paintings it has a significance, other times it's simply another vertical, other times I paint it out or paint out sections of it. So it's another thing to get involved with in the painting. So what I'm trying to do in this series is it's not an illustration. Theoretically, if there was a book of 500 pages, you could do 500 paintings, one per page or even two per page or whatever. It's an interpretation, and it's my interpretation of the novel. So I read the novel, and then I sort of find out what's important to me. I've been collecting information over the past week, and apologies for the delay in starting the talks. If we'd started last Saturday, I would have been having to leave every 5 minutes. So everything's fine now, thank you. So talking about interpretation, so for me it's about a palette, finding a palette. In this particular painting, it's going to be more contrasty. So this one might be more about black and white, or black and pale yellow, or black and pale orange. And there's a significance from the novel in choosing that palette. It seems to be cropping up time and time again in the novel. So I've also got this idea of doing a night sky, a city night sky with all the lights somehow. So I've got to find a way to paint that amongst millions of other things. So I've been collecting information, and it's time to start putting things into action. So I've always been interested in looking at maps. So what I tend to do is think of key locations from a novel, and how can I use those key locations. And because they're crime novels, they are usually where the bodies are found. So in this particular novel, there's I think there's five bodies and 3 different locations. And somehow I've got to use those to make a painting, or part of making the painting. And I discovered even back at art college that when I was trying to paint harbours, Whitstable Harbour in particular, I realised that he had a very particular shape, and there's a revelation to me that the aerial view, the map view, you can define a harbour or a place simply by its shape. And that could be enough, because it's usually a unique shape. You're not going to find it anywhere else in the world. So that one thing can define the place. So I suppose I'm trying to define a place. I'm trying to define the essence of the novel. But I'm trying to define the essence of the novel using minimal means, which means on this list here, there's a few images from the novel, key images. There's a ghost, a fly, helicopter, tattoo, a bull, a snake. So I may use all of them, or I may use only one or two, or none at all. So I've no idea, but I can use them as a way of pinning down the essence of this novel. So, for instance, if going back to my Paul Fleven paintings, like a harbour shape. Now, Paul Fleven, which I painted many a time, so I can simply take the shape of Paul Fleven because it's distinctive, because it's like I suppose a boomerang shape, but I've used that shape to define Paul Fleven. But it's also got 4 inner piers and a long outer pier. So I can just use that element using no imagery, just the 4 piers, the boomerang shape, and the long front pier, and it's Paul Fleven, which gives me license to use whatever colours I like. It's Paul Fleven. It couldn't be anywhere else. And of course, if you stick a clock tower in the corner, you know that's the icing on the cake. But you don't have to put the clock tower in. So I have license with these paintings to put as much imagery in as I like, or as little. Or there's loads of ingredients which I'm going to introduce and take out, because at the end of the day I'm trying to make a painting that defines the novel in I suppose in minimal ways as well. I've always liked that point in time where a piece of paint could be something. It could be this, it could be that, and without having to illustrate it. So it's abstracting. It's abstract. I've got to abstract from all this information to make this painting work. Okay, so the way we're going to start, out of all the information I've collected, there's 3 main locations. But out of all the information I've collected, there's a particular line which is very important. It's a line on a map, and I think it's a key to this painting. I suppose the best way to do this is to show you what I'm going to draw this particular line that cuts across the painting at a specific angle. And so to start off the painting, I'm going to put this line down in 3 different ways across the painting. So I still don't know where this line is going to go. And so I might do 3 or 4 ways and then decide which one is the most visually satisfying. Because this, for me, out of everything, is the key to the novel. So the easiest way to start off is to just get a bit of masking tape. So I'm going to mask it off and then put some paint over the top. So let's try this piece of masking tape sort of down here somewhere. Let's try that. Just stepping back. The angle's not quite right. It's a bit more dramatic than that. So let's try it. This angle is key. That's more like it. So I'm going to take, I'm going to mix a transparent colour, transparent oxide yellow. We're going to go over the masking tape, then we're going to rip it off. So it will leave a ghostly line at the angle which I want. So here we go. Get a nice flat brush for this. The transparent yellow. So we're just going to go across the masking tape. The colours on the canvas to start off with aren't significant, they're just from the last painting. So. paint here. Okay, so now I'm going to take the masking tape off. There's my line, 2 lines, 2 options. So the next way we're going to do this is to just draw along the stick and paintbrush. So that's our guide. We're going to do it a little bit higher this time. So let's try it here. I could have done it with the pencil, but you know, I'd rather do it with paint. Okay. So stepping back, already I like the position of this line here. But we're going to put another line on, a little bit higher. And so another way to do a line is to use an edge as a line. So we're going to do this with a palette knife. So I said it's going to be mainly black, so I'm going to make a black with Prussian blue and raw umber, and then I'm going to use the palette knife to make an edge to kind of draw the line as an edge. So here we go. Essentially, you know, you can make a black or a very, very dark colour from any 2 dark colours. So and of course mixing complementaries, but let's try this one. Let's find out which colour dominates, the blue or the umber. I think the Prussian blue is king in this one. A bit more umber. Oh, that's better. Okay, I'll just hold this up to the camera and then I'm going to transfer it to the painting. Okay, right. Okay, that gives you a general idea about what we're after. So the line is formed by the edge of the knife. So this line, I'm going to refine this line now, so it doesn't just go across the canvas side to side. It actually angles back towards the end. So I'm gonna put another angled line. Again, this angled line could be there, it could be there, it could be there. We're not sure yet. We're just playing games. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know where these lines are going to go. I suspect it might be this one here. So what's next? So I talked about 3 locations. So very simply, what I did, I've been downloaded some maps, made some stencils. So to make things easy, I've just made some cutout shapes. And I'm just going to place them on the canvas. It's a composition. I'm trying to look for a composition. Okay, let's try this funny little shape here. Let's stick it somewhere on the line. Oh, let's put it here, for instance. There's 1. 2. 3. So you can almost treat this as a still life. What you're doing is arranging these kind of objects on a tabletop. Very difficult to do when you're close up, so I'm going to stand back for a second and then make a refinement. Just had an idea. In the novel, one of the bodies, one of the victims, is killed in one place, and then the body's dumped somewhere else in a different location. So he's killed in this shape, which represents a place, and then the body is dumped in this shape. And there's a little cross on this shape here where the body was actually found. So what I might do, I might try and use this central line as the place where the victim was killed and where the victim was found. Make a visual connection between the two things. So let's move this for a sec. So, for instance, let's put this here. This happens to have a straight edge, so I'm going to press it against the line here, so it's almost like hanging off that line. So the little cross there, so we're using this central divide. So, for instance, this. So there's a visual connection between where the body was found, here, and where the victim was killed, here. So in terms of reality, it's completely nonsense. This place, in terms of how things are, in terms of the world, is somewhere else. It might be over there or down there somewhere. But in terms of the painting, or in terms of an idea from the novel, which I've translated into a painting, that kind of works. It's an idea. I've introduced an idea. I've just seen something else as well. I'm going to take away this section of the line. So now we have this lovely return. Which, just because I can, I may make this into a zigzag. So let's make this into a zigzag. Now in terms of the visuals and in terms of tension or balance, what I'm going to do now, this corner here, I'm going to rest on this corner here as if this becomes the pivot for this shape. Let's try it. So that's kind of visually interesting now. So now this shape is balanced on this line. But again, in terms of reality, it's complete nonsense in terms of geography. But of course, what I've lost now, this, where the body was found, is not on the same line as where the victim was killed. So, something I made earlier. What I did, I'd made a bigger shape. And like a kid in a sweetie shop, I want the two things. I want the shape balancing on here, and I want where the body was found on this line here, or somewhere along here. So I made a bigger shape. Let's see if that works. So two things I can do. Three things. I can move this shape to there, so they line up. I can make this shape bigger, so that lines up with that. Or I can move this zigzag. So I'm going to move the zigzag. So that stays there. That goes there. So now I can have everything. That's lined up with that. The two locations are linked. This is resting on there. But I think if I made this shape at an angle, it might be more interesting. So I'm just going to tilt it slightly, which is heresy in terms of geography, because in reality this is facing with north at the top. But of course this is a painting. I'm an artist, so I can tilt reality. So we're just going to tilt it like that. We'll try it that way. We'll try it that way. That's my preference. So what we're going to do with this shape, nice colour by the way. Because this also has a straight edge, this looks like an iron, a weird, or a bird or something. Let's try this. Let's do the same thing. Let's have this shape tilted slightly on top of this shape. Too much. interesting. So already there's some interesting things going on. So what I'm going to do now is build up the background, get some more blacks down. Get some paint down to represent these shapes as opposed to bits of, take away the collage effect. I've only got 10 minutes left, so let's see what we can get done. I've pre-made some violet, some liquid violet here. So we're going to apply that to the top. And again, I think what's going to be important in this painting is the balance between the dark and the light. And maybe it's symbolic, maybe it's a good versus evil, maybe there's a connection there, black and white. We're just going to scrub this on, pour this on. So what's going to be interesting now is if I put the violet next to this mixed black. So I'm going to I will be putting true black somewhere in the painting as well, so that's just pure violet. So now I want to see this pure violet against this made black. Let's see what happens. Let's spot the difference. So when they're next to each other, you can see the difference. Interesting. Yeah, a bit more obvious now. This doesn't look so dark now, does it, against the violet? Okay, we're going to tackle this shape here now. So when I cut out the shape, obviously what I was left with is a piece of paper where, sorry, it's this one. Was a piece of paper that I cut the shape out of. So I'm going to use this as a stencil. So I'm going to put this shape back as a stencil. So basically I'm going to place this back on the canvas and then put a colour over using this as a stencil. So it's the reverse of the shape, the positive shape. It's just a colour I mixed earlier. I don't think it's as bright as I'd like it, but it's just orange and primrose and burnt sienna, if I remember. It's just lost a bit of its kick, but let's try it. Just going to try and outline around this shape. Redraw the line. And then the final thing I'm going to do, I'm going to redraw this line again using a different technique. So essentially, I'm going to put a drip using gravity to draw that line. So what I'm going to do is angle my canvas so that gravity will make this particular line go at the angle that I want. So I'll just arrange the canvas, mix a colour, and then we'll call it again. Just check the spirit level. Okay, so theoretically, I'm just going to do this in pure white. So in my City of Glass paintings, all those long avenues of Manhattan were made using this technique, using gravity. Quite often the drip doesn't drip straight, so you're in the hands of chance. Sometimes you don't mix it properly or it catches a lump in the paint. So it's the last action, and then we're going to walk away. So it's got to be, yeah, that seems about right. It's misbehaving, but you get the idea. So we'll just wait for this drip to hit the bottom of the canvas and we'll call it a day. Add a bit more paint. And we'll leave that overnight, and then tomorrow I can straighten the canvas and the line will be fixed because I'm using this quick dry medium. Well, thanks for your time everybody, and see you in the next session. Bye.